Hello, I'm Fama Cancellara and welcome to the World of Zwift.
Welcome along to the World of Zwift, fueling your brains with all of Watopia's goings on. For another week, whilst I'll fuel my belly with whatever you suggest in the comments. It's a combination made for YouTube success. We just need to add some cat videos for the lols. Here's what's coming up this week. We've got a double helping of Zwift's lead game designer, Wes Salmon, as he first joins us in the studio to take us through the latest updates in this month's game release, before we then join him for a ride through the jungle of one of Zwift's newest routes. It's a Dave Toll takeover, and I'm already nervous about this, in the feed zone. We travel to the highlands of Kenya and the lowlands of the Netherlands to profile Team Amani. A to Zwift has more factoids for your Zwifting brains. And last week it was Nike, this week it's Adidas. Two tribes are going to war in our very own Zwift land.
Fight!
Now, if you'd like to see me complete a ramp test with no fan, ride the Uber pretzel with no sleep, or maybe test orange peel as a yummy ride through, then leave a comment saying so below. And if you would like to, please like and subscribe. In fact, a challenge. Can you subscribe before I read the entirety of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle? Ready, steady, go. Done! Spoiler alert, they were definitely in love. So then, this week in the World of Zwift, to kick things off, it is the Tour of Watopia. We're doubling down again this year, double XP for every ride, double the kits for double the fun. So get yourself registered before it all starts on the 29th of March. And if you like your workouts with a side of drum and bass, then you're in MC Luck and DJ Neat. On the 26th of March at 8 p.m. CET, you can watch the final Canyon workout session led by an elite rider with live beats by drum and bass legend John B to get the old blood thumping. Now, I'd like to say a huge congratulations to friend of the show and former Vitas Pro Cycling Zero team boss Sherry Pridham, who took her maiden victory with Israel's startup nation at Tirreno Adriatico last week. You could say she was pretty chuffed. Over on the podcast, we're continuing our Women's History Month celebrations with Olympian, pro triathlete and Canadian marathon record holder Melindy Elmore. Legion of LA have now dropped their new kit all over the internet, salivation glands at the ready. Now, the inspiration for the design came from one of Watopia's most distinctive features, the volcano. Volcanoes are disruptive forces. They are unstoppable, but ultimately, they are the creators of new worlds. And that's according to Justin Williams of Legion. It's the perfect expression of the ethos of our team and the synergy we have with Zwift, two disruptive brands born from LA on a mission to make the world a better and more inclusive place. And ladies, if you're looking to increase motivation and maximize nutrition, you can still catch last week's women's ride and run panel on all things female training. Head to Facebook to check that out.
First of all, it's our periods are kind of a superpower for our training.
Over in Toronto, last week, Lucy Hempstead smashed the women's stationary cycling world record by a whopping 132 kilometres. She sailed past the previous record of 680k with a cool 3 hours still to go, clocking in a total of 812 kilometres over the 24 hours. And for you runners, keep an eye out for a series of social runs led by triathlete and Olympic gold medalist Gwen Jorgensen. And finally, what's new in the world of Zwift pets? I hear you scream. Well, here's an Aerocat sent in by her owner, Ben Terzian. Funny, but is it as funny as this? Good news, Giant Crit Crushers is back this May. Even better news, in 2021, it's not just for those of you in the Australian time zone, it's going to be multiple time zone. And even better news, there'll be racing available to everyone at every level. Now, like me, some of you may love racing, while some of you may never even thought about doing it on Zwift before. Whichever group you fall into, Crit Crushers is a great opportunity to train, to race, and to have a whole load of fun. And it's in May, so you still have time to train towards it. Check out the Crit Crusher training plan as a starting point. And now it's game release time. As always, we have the amazing Wes Salmon with me, lead game designer for Zwift, to explain what all the ones and the zeros mean. Wes, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right. Excited to talk to you and excited to talk about pack dynamics and how you've improved pack dynamics. Specifically, how is it going to impact those big old group rides we all love doing?
Yeah, so the changes we made in the most recent patch allows us to have a pack that looks a little bit more natural. If you've ever ridden outside or you've watched a bike race where a pack of people or on a bike look like a school of fish, That's kind of what we're always going for, but it's really hard to do based on a lot of factors about these large rides where there's thousands of people packed into a small space. So the work we've done is to improve how the information is shared across clients so that your client gets information about the hundreds of people around you as much as possible so that we can position them in a way that makes it feel like it's natural, but also accurate.
Which is really interesting because if you take other games, let's take Battle Royales for instance, they try and section things off geographically. You try and get the people who are in Europe playing with people who are in Europe. Zwift's not like that. Zwift, you have people from all over the world all riding on the same courses, which must be a real challenge.
It really is, but it's also really part of what makes Zwift amazing for people to ride with people that they would never have a chance to ride with otherwise. So the systems that we've built are optimized for that ability for someone in Japan and someone in London and someone in Brazil to ride together in these big events and not feel like they're so far away. Whereas in other games, if you were to play with someone that far away, you would see it visually in the game based on how their avatar was behaving. So there's a lot of work involved in how we smooth out some of these higher latency network situations for people that are far away.
So coming back to Zwift, how does Zwift determine how avatars should behave and move around? Because some of the avatars I've seen definitely not adhering to the old 2-meter social distancing rule. Some of them get a little close.
So there's a few different things we do. First off, you'll see visually there's collision between avatars today. There's times where they'll pass through each other, but for the most part, we try to make sure that each avatar can maintain its own space. But that gets harder the larger the groups get. If you've ever tried to get into a pace partner group and you're on the outside edge of that large mass of humanity moving through Watopia, you'll notice that it's really hard to kind of force your way back into the group. And that's because we have collision between the avatars. So what we're trying to do with these pack dynamics changes and these pathing changes is to make the behaviors of when you were trying to get into that group feel a little bit more natural and a little bit more realistic. So you can't just blast your way into the middle of a group just because you want to be in the best position on the draft. You've got to actually be tactical about how you move your avatar to a position that's going to let you find a way to that middle. That's one change we're making. The other changes we're making is around how we decide if we have information about an avatar between 1 second. And let's say we get 5 updates about an avatar's position once 5 times a second. We're trying to figure out how do we make sure that that time that we have to fill in, where we have to predict where the avatar would have moved in that small amount of time, makes sense for how a pack would have moved or how an individual rider would have moved. So hopefully less cutting of corners, hopefully less dirt riding on U-turns and things like that to make it feel like, yeah, that rider was really riding that corner properly, as opposed to it's clear that I'm only getting information a few times a second about that rider's position in this very specific U-turn.
Now let me ask you a question then about the mega events. We've all been part of a mega event. You sign up and you realise there's 1,000, 2,000 people in the same event as you. What challenges are around those? Is it simply that there's just so many people riding on the same course at the same time?
Yeah, there's 2 challenges specifically. The first one is the one you mentioned, there's so many people. The second challenge is that that mass of people start in the same exact place at the exact same time. So if you've ever been in one of the big events, once you leave the paddocks, you see all kinds of crazy things happening. People riding sideways. Sometimes, depending on how large the event is, you may have people that don't have an avatar on their bike. There's a whole lot of different things that happen. And that's because if you have 1,000+ people that are constantly moving around in that pack as they leave the paddocks, the system that we use to send information about who you should see gets really taxed. And we saw this in Tour de Zwift, where I think it was 9,000 people in one of the events, and I participated in this event. It was a madhouse for many, many minutes as we were trying to leave the paddocks. And that's just something we're going to continue to improve on.
Wes, can you ever go for a ride on Zwift and just enjoy it? Or is every ride you do, is it always with, oh, well, that could be better, and I could change that, and I must look at that?
Isn't that the fun part though? Like the whole point of working here ideally is that I get to do cool stuff in Zwift. But yeah, it is fun to log in and be on a incognito account. But I rarely do that. I really only do that when I have something very specific to do. And I don't want to be forced to ignore people asking me questions because I'm trying to get that thing done.
And Wes, talking of doing cool things in Zwift, you're going to take us on a ride of Recon.
I am actually, and I think I need to go get suited up because I think I'm going to take you guys through Serpentine 8 later today.
Oh, I look forward to it. Wes, as always, thank you very much.
Thanks, RJ.
It's that time of the week again. I can see the mystery waiter approaching, and by mystery waiter, I mean my producer wearing surgical gloves. Yes, it's the feed zone. My mission is simple, to sample all of the delectable delights the indoor cycling world has to offer. So, what have we got this week, team?
Putting a little mustard on the pain pretzel.
Ah, a Dave Toll classic, the Pain pretzel with extra mustard. Now, we asked Dave how we do this, whether it's a dipping or spreading situation. He said, first off, you need extra hot German. We clarified that. He said it is a type of mustard. We couldn't get it in time. Therefore, we have the pretzel and we have some English mustard. So let's uncork the mustard. Wow, really burns the nostrils. We don't know if we're going to dip or anything, so I'm just going to get a big old bit of white carbs there and shove it in to the mustard. Let's really get it in there. If we're going to do a feed zone, we need to make sure we're good. Now, that's pretty virulent, so let's give it a go. No. Whoa! Oh! I'm eating this via my sinuses. Oh! Wow, that's giving me hiccups. Oh, it's a deep burn. Whew. Okay, you can ride this, OJ. Okay, that's not unpleasant. It is worth saying that the electrolytes which reside in mustard can stop leg cramps. A salty pretzel can help replace sodium lost during an intense workout session. In fact, all of it is good energy whilst you're in the middle of a ride. Oh, these are great, easily digestible source of carbs to fuel a big effort. I'm literally crying at this feed zone. Literally crying, look at the tears. Would I recommend doing this? Absolutely. Please send us a picture of yourself doing exactly this, dipping a pretzel into the hottest mustard you can find. Oh, I've got heartburn. Ah! Cycling is often criticised for having a lack of access, unless you come from one of the few established cycling nations. Riders from other countries with little pedigree in the sport often struggle to get the credit or the resources that they so desperately need and deserve. Who's going to change this situation, you may well ask? Well, enter Team Amani, a concept thought up by an American living in the Netherlands with riders based in Kenya, using Zwift to help build the sport of cycling across East Africa. Let us take a look at part one of their fascinating story.
Welcome to E10 Kenya. At 7,000 feet above sea level, it has become the go-to training destination for distance runners. The home of champions continue to produce the world's best endurance runners. But so far, East African cyclists are yet to gain a foothold in the predominantly European world of professional cycling. But with a little help from a cafe 4,000 miles away, via the world of Watopia, that may be about to change.
My name is Michael Delagrange. I'm the head cheerleader of Team Amani. It's a project that we've had up and running now for 2.5 years out of Lola Bikes and Coffee in The Hague, the Netherlands. We started Team Amani in 2018 a little bit off the back of some of my professional experience. I work at the International Criminal Court. In my professional sphere, I came across a number of different projects going on in Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya that were aimed at creating opportunities for East African cyclists to join and to participate in road cycling and cycling in general. I thought, being based in Holland, a sort of cycling mecca, maybe there was something that we could do to help these guys and girls, do what they're trying to do, which is to break into the sport. But also from a selfish point of view, I think all of us who really love cycling love the idea of making it more international.
Over in E10, one of the hottest teams around are the Kenyan riders.
My name is John Kariuki. I'm a cyclist riding Kenya Riders and Team Amani.
I'm Evan Wangai. I'm 24 years old. I was born in Nakuru County, here in Kenya. I started with the Black Mambas, just like for fun. I met guys from Kenyan Riders. I was interested in joining them. In 2017, they organized a race for Black Mamba and I won like 3 times.
Kenya Riders is a small club, one of the best in Kenya, that is much competitive.
With the foundations already in place, Michael reached out to see if Team Amani could provide any support.
I didn't want to set the agenda. We asked questions of what it is that we could do to help, and almost resoundingly the answer was that they needed racing opportunities.
My cycling career goals are train, you get fit, then you race as much as you can.
My goal is to be in Pro Continental team.
Along with clubs in Rwanda and Uganda, Team Amani began setting up a rider exchange program. The aim is to provide the likes of John and Evans the chance to test themselves on the European scene, as well as providing a support structure during their stay.
We ask our partner clubs to select the best young riders who could potentially benefit from some experience racing in Europe. And they come and they join a club that we've set up here of riders who are basically elite level riders who want to support these guys when they come. When you come to Europe for the first time, you know, it can be quite confronting. It's a different culture, different languages. So we want to create a soft landing, have a community around these guys, lower the pressure a little bit, and then allow them the opportunity to race competitively and see where they are at. And if they're already at a level that's making waves in Europe, then they'll get noticed. And if they're getting the wheels blown off a bit, then they know what they got to do when they go home.
Plans were in place for riders to test themselves in Europe last summer. But then cycling, along with the rest of the world, came to a halt. Next week, we find out how Zwift allowed Team Amani to continue training despite the pandemic.
Amazing stuff, and we'll have part 2 for you next week. If you would like to ride with Mikel, with John, and the rest of Team Amani, then look for the link in the description and join their weekly Thursday rides. Now, prepare to take on knowledge. In through the nose, out through the soul. I am but a leaf upon the wind. Calm and ready, time for A to Zwift.
V is for Von Top. Created as a GPS-accurate replica of the Giant of Provence, Mont Ventoux, our very own Von Top towers above the France map as the biggest climb you can do in-game. At 13 miles, or 20 kilometers long and over 5,000 feet or 1,500 meters up, it's a true challenge for any Zwifter. Starting in open fields, this lush forest, you'll pass lakes, rivers, and Chalet Renard before the landscape changes to a rocky moonscape. You'll see the Tommy Simpson Memorial with 1K to go, and finally the Antenna Tower as you reach the summit. Some will race it, some will take it easy, and some may even have a coffee stop at Chalet Renard. But whatever your method, the sense of achievement from conquering this massive mountain is immense. Don't stop there though. Make sure to take the downhill for the XPs. Try to hit your top speed and bag an extra badge, or pedal the whole way down to max out on drops, all while taking in the spectacular scenery.
Time for bike stuff, and it's Clash of the Titans Part 2. And last week I tested out the Nike Super Rep indoor cycle shoes, as comfortable as worn trainers, but their flexible soles drain the watts whilst racing. This week it's Nike's arch nemesis Adidas and their latest creation, the Road Cycling Shoe. Does what it says on the tin. Now, I have had a long and tawdry affair with cycling shoes, which all started with some Rafa Yak leather numbers that were things of pure beauty. I kept them hidden in a wardrobe for a month before I wore them, partly as I really didn't want to admit how much I spent on them, and partly because I was struggling to take two pieces of art into the outside world with its hustle and bustle and, quite frankly, its dirt. And these are the Adidas Road Cycling Shoes. Who throws a shoe, honestly? Now, these are very much in that vibe. Just look at how beautifully pristine they are. I got them dirty just by looking at them. They're the sort of thing that should never be taken outside and preferably only used in a hermetically sealed, clean space. But as I had to learn myself, you can't just be beautiful, you also have to be useful. So how will these road-specific shoes fare indoors? Will Adidas choose power over comfort, or have they found the sweet spot somewhere in the middle? It's time to slip into something a little more comfortable. Yes, I mean Lycra. So do they hit that sweet spot? Well, let's put it like this. When it comes to cycling shoes, I'm basically a Melda Marcus on 2 wheels, and I would say these are now my favourites. The base, the sole, is super stiff. You can feel it when you're putting the power down. I'm just currently going over the top of the volcano. You can really feel it. Yeah, the uppers, like the Nikes, are super soft, but they're not so soft. The Adidas, you can feel your foot moving around in them. They're just stable enough to really encase your foot. And they are a beautiful pair of shoes. The bright whiteness, which I dig, shows off whatever outrageous socks you're wearing, like this. If I was going to have an issue with them, and I do, but it's such a small one that it doesn't really matter. But my issue is they're almost too nice. Put it this way, if you woke up on a crisp winter's morning and looked out and there's blue sky and beneath it a blanket of virginal snow, that is what these shoes are like. You feel the first time you went out there in the real world and sullied them, part of you inside would die a little. Would they get clean again? Possibly. Would they be this clean? I don't think anything on earth is this clean. Now, as if one serving of game design insights from Wes Salmon wasn't enough for you, this week we've got a slightly different take on our rider Recon, looking at one of the newer courses in-game from a designer's point of view. I'm ready. Are you ready, Wes? Excellent. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Wes from Zwift, lead game designer, and I'm here to take you on a trip around Serpentine 8. So let's go. So I'm about to enter the junction where you decide if you want to go left or right into the jungle. The Serpentine 8 is going to take us to the right side, which is the Alpe de Zwift side as well. This route doesn't officially start until you first cross the start-finish line for the first time. And to finish this route, you'll need to cross it 3 times. So the first thing we do when we try to design a new route in Zwift is decide on what world it's going to live in. And the goal really is to create something new and fun for people to ride through and run through. So the art team will start to gather assets that are specific to a particular style or particular area that they're trying to replicate or emulate. So the jungle in this case is a good example where our artist spent a lot of time doing investigations about what does a rainforest really look like? What do Mayan ruins really look like when they've broken down and are being restored? So I'm about to go through one of the construction areas in the new cut through where there's restoration happening on some Mayan ruins. This is a great section to recover in if you're coming from the descent direction, but you've got to watch out for all the construction scaffolding. And this is a very well-known temple for longtime Zwifters. There's been rumors that this temple housed an open field of cycling gameplay that never got released. I can't say if that's true or not, but I will say that temple is really big. So now I'm coming back out of the Mayan jungle, heading up the climb that takes you out. It's a pretty brisk climb, about 700, 800 meters. And it'll bite you if you're trying to hang on to a fast group and you don't pay attention, because you will get dropped on that climb. So I'm at 9.8 kilometers. I've got 16.8 kilometers left to go, and we're just entering the kind of the foggy area. There's 2 arches that designate where this area starts and stops, and it's got kind of a creepy vibe to it. And it's also one of my least favorites because it's one of the areas where I have to climb out of the jungle. And climbing at 2 or 3%, it's not bad, but it's tough when you've got people ahead of you that you're trying to chase down. That extra 2 or 3% can really put a hurt in your legs. Yeah, so I'm coming through one of the areas where you'll typically see people high-five the sloth. The sloth being one of the mascots of the Mayan ruins. And if you go by at a certain time, you'll actually see him wave his hand out for you. And if you're on a road bike and you time it just right, you can hit your wave button and they almost line up like you're giving him a high five. For me, my favorite part of this course is really how the lighting affects the time of day and how you really get that feel of being in a forest at certain angles. Coming up towards the waterfall is a good example of how when the sun hits it just right, it feels pretty magical. Everybody knows about the sloth, but there's so many different types of birds to see, and they're typically not right in front of you. So if you are blasting through the forest really quickly, you'll probably miss a few of them. Kind of counting birds can be a fun diversion. So as a huge Indiana Jones fan, one of the things that it always reminds me of while riding through the jungle is the chance that there's a huge boulder just perched on top of a mountain waiting to come and chase me. And it feels like something like that's behind me right now. So let's go. I got 9.7 kilometers to go, and I'm crossing the start-finish banner for the second time now. So this will be the second of 3 to finish this route, and most importantly, get the achievement. 7.5 to go. So I'm making my way back to the final section of road towards the start-finish loop again. And for this one, as you're climbing out, you're probably gonna feel a little bit tired, a little bit defeated, but just realize that on the backside of this climb is a nice descent into the finish line. All right, so we're heading towards the finish now. We're gonna hit this rickety bridge and then head right towards the waterfall. So we're about 500 meters away. This is about time when you should kick it. Whew. That was Serpentine 8, one of my favorite courses in Zwift. I think you'll like it. Give it a try.
Time flies when you're having fun because we are ended, and I do believe we've had fun together. I have enjoyed it. We'll have more World of Zwift goodies next week. Until then, ride on.